Welcome back to Joy Recaps. Movies Stories Recapped here. Today, I'm going to recap a horror, dark comedy film from 2017 called Happy Death Day. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The campus clock strikes 9 o'clock. Tree awakens in a dorm room that is not her own. Carter turns to greet her, and her phone rings to the sound of a birthday song. She inquires as to where her clothes are and immediately stands up to dress. Crater scrambles to find Tylenol after Tree asks for it. When she's finished dressing, he hands her the bottle of pills, still trying to be nice, but she tells him not to mention their encounter. Carter's friend walks in as she's about to leave, asking if he slept with her. Tree is repulsed by both of them. When she walks outside, a goth looks her over. Then a girl asks her to sign a petition to stop global warming. Sprinkles fall, chasing away a kissing couple. A car alarm sounds. A frat guy tortures a few rushes, and one collapses as she passes by. Suddenly, she is approached by Tim, her alleged stalker, a guy she had one date with and dislikes. She makes fun of him and then walks away. A girl greets her as she walks up to her sorority house. Tree sneaks inside but is quickly apprehended by Danielle, who reminds her of the house meeting at lunch. Lori, her roommate, greets her as she enters her bedroom and falls onto her bed. Tree notices the time as Lori recounts the previous night's party and realizes she's late for class. She rushes out of bed, hurrying to dress and find her books. Lori turns around and hands her a birthday cupcake, telling her that she can't keep her birthday a secret from her. As she walks out, Tree blows out the candle and throws the cupcake in the trash. Lori is enraged. Tree walks into a class taught by a professor with whom she has a problem. That day, she has lunch with her sorority sisters, and one of them, Becky, sits down with a high-carb lunch, which Danielle deems bad. They force her to leave, but when she stands up, Carter collides with her, spilling a chocolate shake all over Tree. She pulls him to the side because she doesn't want her sorority sisters to know she knows him. He returns the bracelet she had left in his room. Later, she enters a hospital, declines a phone call from her father, and walks into Lori. She understands why Tree is there and warns her that what she is doing has serious consequences. Tree enters an office, and the professor follows. She immediately begins kissing him, but his wife knocks on the door. She's in her room that night when Danielle walks in wearing her top. They discuss the party they plan to attend later when there is a power outage. Tree is listening to her father's message as she walks past some jocks on her way to the party. She enters a creepy underpass where a music box plays Happy Birthday. Tree believes someone is teasing her, but there is a noise behind her. Someone in a college mascot mask is staring at her, saying nothing. He vanishes. She is passing through the underpass when he suddenly appears with a knife and begins chasing her. The tree trips and falls. He seizes her and murders her. Tree awakens in the same dorm room as before. Things begin to unfold in the same manner as before. As Carter speaks to her, she dresses and asks for Tylenol, even telling him where he keeps it. He claims she appears to have been there before. Tree is perplexed when Carter's friend enters. She exits the building, passing the same goth, the petition girl, the sprinklers, the car alarm, and the frat guys. She looks perplexed as she runs into Tim again, this time asking him what day it is. It's Monday, October 18th. Tree is greeted in front of her sorority by the same girl and runs into Danielle, who reminds her of the sorority lunch. Lori greets her the same way she always does when she enters the room. Tree feels strange, but realizes she's late for class and rushes. Lori hands her the cupcake, but she becomes even more perplexed and rushes out. Later, at lunch, she witnesses the same scenario with Becky. Tree tries to warn her about Carter, but they still cross paths. Carter walks away, but she reminds him to return her bracelet. Later, she enters the professor's office, intending to speak with him, but he kisses her and his wife knocks on the door. She's watching a birthday video of herself and her mother when Danielle walks in. Tree is terrified of the blackout. She walks down the same road toward the underpass, but when she hears the music box, she takes a different route to the party. The tree has reached the house, which appears to be empty. She bangs on the door because it's locked. When the lights come on for her birthday surprise, a guy in the mascot mask opens and she punches him. Nick was the man behind the mask. Later, Danielle and Tree are talking when Nick approaches them, flirting with her, much to Danielle's chagrin. In any case, she follows him to his room. When she walks in, the room appears to be empty. She checks herself in the mirror when Nick reappears behind her and she removes his mask. Tree is unimpressed when he starts playing loud music and dancing to it. She texts Danielle as another man in the mask enters the room and murders Nick. Tree is unable to hear anything over the loud music, and when she turns around, she believes the man is Nick. He pulls out the knife as she approaches. They fight on the bed, and a frat boy walks in but doesn't seem to notice what's going on. She is stabbed by the masked man. Tree awakens in her dorm room, screaming and frightening Carter. She panics and rushes out as everything repeats itself. Goth, petition girl, sprinklers, car alarm, frat guys, and eventually Tim. Lori greets her in the same way when she walks into their room and sits on the bed. Tree tells Lori that she feels as if she's going insane and tries to explain that she's lived the same day twice. As proof, she mentions the cupcake and the surprise party. Lori is skeptical of her story. Tree tells her that someone will kill her that night and begins to panic, frightening Lori as well. But she tells her to rest because the day is stressful for her because of her mother. Tree is later seen strengthening her windows and pushing a drawer in front of her door. She sees a photo of herself and her mother when Danielle knocks on her door and there is a power outage. Tree sits on her bed, about to eat the cupcake, when she begins to look for the remote. She discovers a birthday card, and the TV abruptly turns off, then on briefly to show the news, then off again. She hears a noise in the closet and grabs a hammer, but no one is there when she opens it. She goes to check the bathroom, but the TV comes back on before she can look behind the shower curtain. The masked man appears behind her and kills her again after a brief struggle. Tree screams in her dorm room, startling Carter. She freaks out and flees. Everything has returned to normal. Goth, petition girl, sprinklers, car alarm, frat boys. She begins to panic when Carter abruptly stops her to return her belongings. She hugs him and begs him to assist her. Next, they're sitting in a college cantina, and Carter is still trying to figure out what's going on with her. When her phone rings, he realizes it is her birthday. He informs her that whoever is killing her is aware of her birthday and begins compiling a list of potential suspects. He also informs her that they did not sleep together the night before. They keep talking about her murderer, and he tells her she has an infinite amount of time to figure out who is killing her. That night, Tree compiles a suspect list, and Tim is the first name on it. She peeks through his window and discovers that he is gay. The masked man stabs Tree when she turns around. Tree wakes up in Carter's dorm room and throws away her phone. She is then seen coloring and cutting her hair, and she later adds the professor's wife to the list. She stalks her from the bushes, but when she turns around, she is tackled and killed by the masked man. She comes to. Danielle is the next name on her list. When a bus hits them, they can be seen talking, then fighting. She awakens enraged. Danielle is crossed off the list, and the professor is next. Tree walks out of her dorm room naked, and everyone she's ever seen is staring at her. Later, she's waiting for her killer with a baseball bat when she accidentally knocks Becky out. When she goes to assist her, the masked man appears and strikes her with the bat. She awakens in Carter's dorm, telling him that his plan failed. She feels strange pains in her abdomen and faints in Carter's arms as his friend opens the door. Later, she's in the hospital, and Carter enters her room. He informs her that it is Monday, the 18th, and that there is a power outage. Suddenly, the professor appears beside Carter. He tells him to go. Her doctor, who is also her professor, shows her an X-ray of her lungs. She should be dead because she has so many lesions on them. Tree wants to leave, but he assures her that she is safe. She asks for a soda to get him out of the room, and when he returns, she is gone. Tree runs through the hospital and enters the professor's office in search of his car keys. Suddenly, she discovers a mask in a drawer. She believes he is the murderer and carefully walks through the hospital until he appears behind her and is stabbed by the masked man. He pursues her all the way to the parking lot. Tree continues to hide from him there, but when she opens the professor's car door, he hears her and follows her. She finally gets away from him and rejoices when a cop car signals her to stop. When the cop approaches her car, she tries to explain what's going on, but she realizes that if the cop believes she's under the influence of any illegal substance, he'll have to arrest her and take her to jail, where she should be safe. As a result, she lies to him and he arrests her. He secures her in the back of his patrol car, but is hit by another vehicle. The masked man emerges from the other car and approaches the patrol. Tree mocks him briefly before walking away and getting back into the car. He opens a window and throws a birthday candle out the window, lighting the gasoline trail that leads to the cop car. Tree awakens in the dorm again, takes Tylenol on her own, opens the door for Carter's friend, and dismisses him. Carter asks her why she screamed in her sleep as she gets dressed. He follows her out, curious about her story. She informs him that she is going to relieve herself on the same day and tells him about the sprinklers, the car alarm, and the frat guy fainting. They are later seen eating in a diner. He won't remember it, she says as she burps and farts. When her phone rings, he asks why she doesn't answer when her father calls. She tells him that her mother died 3 years ago and that they were born on the same day. Tree believes that if her mother were still alive, she would be disappointed in her because she is not a good person. He tells her that her current situation makes it easier for her to become a better person, but she doesn't think she has many more days because she gets weaker with each visit. Tree's attention is drawn to the news. There is a report of a serial killer in the hospital. She believes he is her assassin. She arrives at the hospital where he is being held and informs the nurse that he will escape. When she notices no officer in front of his door, she grabs an axe and enters his room. The masked man is also inside, but she doesn't notice him right away. When the masked man shoots at her, she sees the guard dead on the floor. Tree flees, but he kills the nurse and pursues her. When he catches up with her, he removes his mask, revealing the serial killer. He raises his gun to shoot, but Crater leaps in front of him. Tree pulls out the gun and prepares to shoot him, but the gun jams and the serial killer breaks Carter's neck. He pursues Tree once more, and they arrive at the bell tower. She appears behind him and hits him over the head, only to realize that if she kills him and does not reset the day, Carter will die forever. As a result, she drops the crowbar and runs away. The assailant pursues her, but she kills herself instead. The campus clock strikes 9 o'clock. Tree awakens in Carter's room and hugs him, grateful for saving her life. She grabs his pillow, spanks his friend for being a misogynist, and walks out of the building smiling. She notices the goth and takes his glasses before signing the petition, telling the couple about the sprinkles, and placing a pillow on the ground before the frat boy collapses. Tree is delighted to see Tim and encourages him to come out of the closet. She finally approaches the girl in front of her sorority house and enters. Danielle approaches her and tells her about Carter, rendering her speechless. She enters her bedroom and apologizes to Lori for her selfishness. She then goes to class and interrupts the professor. Tree ends their relationship and drops his class as well. Tree is not present at the sorority lunch, so Becky sits down with her bad lunch. Tree appears and sits next to her, shoving a tray of junk food in her face. Tree walks over to Becky and spills the chocolate shake all over her head after Danielle insults her. Carter appears unexpectedly to give her the bracelet, and she kisses him before asking him out on a date. Yes, he says. Later, she appears at the restaurant where her father is waiting for her to join him for a birthday lunch. Tree wants them to be more open about her mother's death and to talk about her more, so she can stop avoiding what happened. She apologizes for causing him pain by doing so. That night, she prepares to confront her assailant. She enters the hospital and steals the guard's gun. She tells the guard to get help because the serial killer will escape while holding him at gunpoint. Tree approaches the sleeping prisoner, noticing that he is restrained, and tells him to open his eyes. She wants to shoot, but the gun's safety is set. He smacked her with his pillow, grabbed her, and took her knife. They spar, but he is the stronger. He pulls out the knife to kill her, but her watch alarm goes off. When the power goes out, she's right behind him with the gun. Tree shoots her assailant to death. That night, she blows out the candle on her cupcake while she and Carter discuss what happened. She makes a wish for tomorrow before blowing out the candle. The campus clock strikes 9 o'clock. Tree awakens in Carter's bedroom. It's the same day as before. She becomes terrified and flees. She storms into her bedroom and begins packing. Tree has an epiphany as Lori stands up and walks over to give her the cupcake. She realizes she awoke on the same day she died because she died in her sleep. Tree believes Lori murdered her by poisoning the cupcake. But when Tree refused to eat the cupcake, Lori saw an opportunity to kill her and get away with it. Lori was always the one who killed her. Tree tells her to eat the cupcake and prove it wasn't her, or she'll call the cops. Lori knocks her down and locks the door behind her. She tells her that the reason she wanted to kill her was because she was in love with the professor. Lori nearly kills her when she becomes distracted long enough for Tree to shove the cupcake in her mouth and then push her out the window, landing in front of the girl facing the sorority house. In the diner, Tree and Carter are watching the news. Her father calls, and she picks up the phone to console him. Carter begins telling her about the movie Groundhog Day, which she has never seen.